Antrim so far. Gary Kirby from Patrickswell. Just watch this. In the twinkling of an eye, he had it in the back of the net. Just keep an eye, because you'll hardly see it. There. Brilliant. Good puck out again by Brendan Prenter. Added to. This is Sambo. One man who can inspire Antrim. Joe Quaid saw it all the way. Paul Jennings knocking it down for John Paul McKillop. Alistair Elliott. This time it comes up. You can see that both teams finding it difficult just to keep their footing. Sambo has it. Giving it across. Going on here. Sure. Joe Quaid, and Sambo did so well here. Got ahead of Mike Nash. He was unselfish, gave it to Paddy Walsh, and Joe Quaid just got a hurley to it. Paul Jennings going for point, give her a go, and that's exactly what he's after getting. Antrim need some more scores just to keep in touch now. By no means a lost battle or anything like that. Very okay, Joe Hegarty just slipped in the wrong moment. Oh, they've got a nice bit of space here. As Conor McCambridge goes through, hand passes in, Joe Quaid deflects it over the bar. And that's the very first time that Antrim forward has scored. This is an angle behind the goalkeeper, and he did well really just to put up the hurling. There from Frankie Carroll, gave the slip there to Mike Gallagher, sent downfield by Joe Hegarty. Lee O'Connor, TJ Ryan, Dominic McKinley just getting a boot to it. Damien Quigley has gone out to gather it. Tries to get inside Paul Jennings. Quigley, and he takes his point. This is a good point by Damien Quigley. Despite the fact he was fouled, he took his point. There's Mike Houlihan, and Limerick midfield continued to dominate. Down towards Leo O'Connor. This time he has it. Dominic McKinley slips on the ground, gives room and space for Leo O'Connor to put it over the bar. So the Clahon man now makes it. All 6 Limerick forwards have scored. This is a good point by Leo. Dominic McKinley unfortunate to slip, but Leo very accurate. Interesting ball for Gary Kirby and Paul Jennings. Frankie McMullen pulling on it. TJ Ryan. Good angle for himself. Drops in, Brendan Prenter calls. Lashes it down once more. Alistair Elliott. Seamus McDonough, Mike Houlihan helping him out. Well intercepted and well pulled on. Again to Seamus McDonough, Stephen McDonough rather. Brewery. Frankie Carroll. Oh, that's a great effort. That's a wonderful point. 5 points for Frankie Carroll. There's a Limerick man down injured, which is causing concern for Limerick. It seems to be Gary Kirby that's down injured. As you can see there was a collision. Got a hurley on the face by accident off Seamus McMullen. That's a good point. Gary Kirby, nephew of former Limerick manager Phil Bennison. Obviously Gary is sporting a fine black eye there. He'll continue on. Frankie Carroll blocking the shot from Sambo McNaughton and then picks it up. Sends it in towards Dominic McKinley. Leo O'Connor, Damien Quigley. Couldn't be hooked by Dominic McKinley, and that's another point for Damien Quigley. As Dominic McKinley just couldn't hold on to it. Kieran McCambridge was in there as well. Damien Quigley just picked it up and put it over. Well, 5 nights or no 5 nights, this is it for Antrim. And already Mike Houlihan has gone down. There's some hard pulling, and Jim Connolly is in the wars once more. And Dickie Murphy is booking the Antrim midfielder. And obviously at half-time there was a fairly lively pep talk, and I think Antrim realised that this is their final 35 minutes. And Mike Houlihan definitely feeling the brunt of it. And Antrim introduced another substitute, which is a little bit surprising at this stage. And it's number 20, Brendan McGarry, that's coming in. And he's going up corner forward. Now, 2 substitutes as Gary Kirby sends that ball in. And he sends it over the bar. That's exactly what Limerick needed to what happened to Mike Houlihan. And if there was any doubts that Limerick were going to miss out in All-Ireland final, well then Antrim were mistaken. So an interesting start to the second half. Gary Kirby unable to get there. Gary O'Kane sending it in. Well pulled on. Here's Sambo McNaughton. Can he inspire his young colleagues? That's a free ball by Mike Houlihan on Conor McCambridge. So it's a free in for Antrim at the very start of the half. There's Jackie Carson. 1 point against Down in the Ulster final, and 2 points against Limerick in the All-Ireland semi-final. But they need goals, judging by that scoreline. A match that is played for a very large crowd, but really, takes purposes, you wouldn't notice them that much, only when Limerick go forward, because Antrim seem to be a little bit depressed at the moment. Aidan McAteer, referee is calling a halt to it. And he's going to give, I would imagine, a throw ball on the 20-metre line. Seamus McMullen and Frankie Carroll. TJ Ryan. Paul Jennings sends it out over the line. Line ball for Limerick. Not a very memorable match, it must be said. We were hoping that the second half will be a little bit better, but Antrim have failed to respond to the challenge so far. Gary Kirby with the sideline cut. Real beauty. 1 goal and 2 points in the All-Ireland semi-final for an injury-hammered Gary Kirby. This is a wonderful skill. A sideline ball, a dead slither, comes in and cuts it absolutely perfectly. Gliding over the crossbar. Hook out given quickly to Seamus McMullen. Under McGarry battling with Davy Clark. It's Paul Jennings. Sambo. To Paul McKillen. Sending it straight over the crossbar. That's the second point for Paul McKillen. And out of Antrim's total, it's interesting that 4 points comes from their midfield and centre-half back. It tells its own story. The Antrim flags not fluttering very much, in fact, in Croke Park. They started waving brilliantly, but as the match progressed, I think they began to realise that this was not going to be their day once more. Seamus McMullen. Gary O'Kane, TJ Ryan. Won't come up. Does though for Frankie. By Houlihan. Nice little dummy. And a lovely point. 3 points for Houlihan. Camellic man is very much on form in midfield. Despite the fact that the Limerick people realise that they're going to be heading back here on the first Sunday in September, I think they were looking for a little bit of a stiffer challenge, as that point sailed straight over the bar. Good score. Here's Mike Houlihan once more. He was disciplined earlier in the year and the season during the earliest stages of the league. And he seemed to work wonders because he now has come back with renewed spirit. And his midfield partner is playing just as well. The one and only Kieran Carey, man of the match against Cork, now gets his first point to the All-Ireland semi-final. Lovely pass by Damien Quigley. Good vision, as Carey was clearly calling from way out the field over the bar. Here's Seamus McMullen. Played his heart out right throughout this match, really. Up towards Sambo McNaughton. Gets there ahead. Mike Nash just won't come up. Now it does. Trying to engineer something. Alistair Elliott is inside. Jackie Carson is inside. Jackie Carson! And there's a point. I didn't know him for a second. But Jackie Carson puts it over the bar. Good goalkeeping by Joe Quaid. It's the goalkeeper that deserves the credit here. But again, he could be put down as a goal-scoring opportunity. As Sambo sent it in, Alistair Elliott did well. Jackie was calling outside. There's Jackie going through. He got it awkwardly, and Joe Quaid did very well. Good goalkeeping. Frankie Carroll connecting. TJ Ryan adding to it. Gary O'Kane giving it to Dominic McKinley. nothing Antrim do now get any sort of a cheer at this stage. I think a state of depression has been called in the glens of Antrim. They were really expecting better things. Frankie Carroll, they will forever remember the name Frankie Carroll. In the glens of Antrim, 7 points for Frankie, all from play. Remember, Antrim, it shows you just really, when you think about it, the difference between league and championship. Antrim had such an impressive early league performance. Then they faltered against Clare in the league, losing by 10 or 11 points. Certainly, this will go down as a real nightmare, adding to last year's tale of woe against Kilkenny. Gary O'Kane, Seamus McMullen, certainly been the best that Antrim have produced. Referee just a bit harsh at Joe Hegarty perhaps, but he gives the free to Antrim. Seamus McMullen takes the free once more. This time he goes for his own point. The right corner back gets his name on the scoreboard, making it now 222 to 10 points. Jackie Carson trying to send it across to Gregory O'Kane. Can he get a ball in towards number 20? And Brendan McGarry can't get it. Mike Holohan comes around it. And just for that moment in time, Brendan McGarry had to switch to his other side. This is a good example of what hurling is about. And if you want to study in terms of video, Brendan McGarry had to go to the other side. He was hooked brilliantly by Mike Holohan, and eventually that ball was cleared. Frankie McMullen sending it over towards Gregory O'Kane. And again, the striking by Antrim is very poor. Frankie Carroll controlling it, and again, that little touch, that's all you need. Needs a little bit more. Oh, lovely skill. Bit humiliating for the Antrim hurlers, but lovely skill by Carroll. To Gary Kirby as this All-Ireland semi-final turns into exhibition stuff. Dropping it in. 6 points now for Gary Kirby, 7 points for Frankie Carroll. Between them, they made up that scoreline.
I think we hit him from the very start. We threw everything at him. We had well prepared for the game, and I think it showed out there today. Our scoring has been excellent for the last few matches, and just the team really, I say, from the goalie to the corner forward, everyone was hurled.
We were insecure in ourselves, and basically deep down we just didn't believe that we could beat Limerick. And I mean, like, when that fear hits you, you start staying behind the player, hoping that the player's going to make mistakes. And it was just a dreadful, absolute diabolical performance on our behalf. It really is an embarrassment, to be quite honest, and we're an embarrassment to hurling today.
Coming up here today, we didn't know what to expect. All we could do is our part. Antrim were disappointing, all right, and we felt that this match could go down to the wire. We were prepared for that, so we had to ensure that we have to a good start and maybe stagnate him a bit and you know, put him into trouble. Or 2 goals did that, and our plan worked well.
The last few years, like, teams come up and play Antrim, are only scraping out with a point or 2 victories, you know. We were expecting a lot tougher. We played them a few times and there was never much between us, but you know, we just got to start today, like, and kept building on it and building on it.
Well, we all know each other's play, you know, and we kind of read each other's play, and the midfielders helped us a lot today on the breaking balls, you know. Joe Hegarty was very good today, you know. He's great to have alongside Joe, a big figure like him, you know.
Well, it was different for us coming up here to Croke Park. A lot of us hadn't played there before. It's a different atmosphere than the pitches in Munster. But it wasn't too much tougher than any championship game now.
I'd say that at least we're in the final, yeah. I won't say any more than that. We're in it to win it. We're in it to play it.
Well, a reaction from the opening semi-final there against moderate opposition today. Well, it's not so easy to assess Limerick's abilities, but clearly they're well worth their place in that final. Very polished performance with lots of skill in evidence. I'll be talking to our analyst Kieran Barr in more detail in just a moment. First, let's take a look at the statistics from that game. Well, there was nothing in it in terms of wides. Antrim hit just 1 more than Limerick, but had they scored that, and indeed all the others, I'm afraid they still wouldn't have won the match. Antrim conceded 4 more frees than Limerick, but the total of 24 was a bearable level for the 70 minutes of hurling. The scoring rate tells it all. Limerick got 25 scores from 45 chances. That's a 56% return. Antrim got 11 scores from 38 chances, and that's only a 29% return, and that is just not good enough. A reminder about our phone number, 016435535 is the number here for the Sunday game, if you want to give us a call. Right then, let's turn to Kieran Barr, our match analyst. Kieran, all around it has to be said, from a Limerick point of view, that was a powerhouse performance today.
It is, but but it's very difficult to judge against the opposition, because I don't think Antrim really, especially in the second half, put up a lot of resistance. It's a bit. Jim Nelson maybe is being a bit over the top, I think, in his criticism there of the team and himself, basically, because if players don't have it, they don't have it, and it's as simple as that. And they just didn't seem to be able to get to the ball first. The team that started better today were going to have a psychological advantage, a huge psychological advantage, because I didn't think either team there was going to be a whole lot in it. Other than that, it was a lottery. Whoever got the better start was going to produce it on the day, and that's what Limerick did. But once they did get that start, away they went, and they showed an awful lot of class.
But Antrim surely don't become just a dreadful team overnight. I mean, how much of it was how bad Antrim were, and how much of it was how good Limerick were?
It's difficult to say, because I was looking at the programme and I noticed that Antrim won 11, Limerick won 7 in the National League match back in February. Now, how do you get back to an 18-point defeat from there? Like, it's very difficult to gauge what is the difference. Now, obviously, Limerick have developed as a team over the summer, and they've had a massive boost in confidence by winning the Munster Championship. And that's the difference between the two teams. Limerick believe that they are a good side. They believe that they are a very good side because they're Munster champions. Sure. Whereas Antrim basically do quite well in the league. In the last couple of years, they've done well in the league. But this is the second year in a row they've been annihilated in Croke Park. And it raises a lot of questions about the standard of club hurling in Antrim, first of all, and the standard of the preparation of the team and the players themselves. And it has to be looked at very hard. OK, let's take a look at some of the key incidents in that match. If anybody needed a break earlier on from a goal point of view, it was Antrim. Of course, the goal break came to Limerick. It did, and Mike Galligan does very well here, because all the full-backs were sucked in together, and he did exactly what a half-forward is supposed to do. He continued to run after the breaking ball, so it's a good high ball, and the ball should have been cleared much better, actually, when Clark got it there. But the breaking ball, there's nobody on him. His man was behind him, and it's a very, very good finish, running full pace off the ground. Now, we'll see the second goal here. Same sort of thing. All the forwards are converging, and that's what Limerick were doing, sucking in the full back line of Antrim. And Kirby came onto that ball and finished it very, very strongly into the net. It's a better shot here from behind. You'll see it in actually how good a goal it was, because he was having to stretch even to get to the ball. And he lets it go into the corner of the net. But again, the full-backs were being pulled into the middle. They were being dragged into the middle, and nobody was picking the guy up coming at them. Now, that's basic defending. And first of all, even go back a step beyond that, the guy who was winning possession out there shouldn't have been given a free shot in, shouldn't have got possession in the first place. So I wouldn't blame the full-back line so much as the guys further out the field and not winning possession around the middle of the park and in the half-forwards round. Antrim obviously had their chances. I mean, they scored not a lot, but still at the same time, they had some chances to improve that situation. They had, and Paddy Walsh had a very good chance, we'll see here, in the first half, and it was a chance that may have just given Antrim the boost that they needed. Now, it's a very good catch by Terence McNaughton, and he plays the ball across, and Paddy Walsh actually waits for the ball to bounce right from instead of hitting it first time, and the goalkeeper came and just sucked up the space between him and the player. Therefore, it wasn't that difficult of a save. This is actually a very good save. In the second half, the game was really over at that stage, but when things aren't going for you, nothing seems to go right, and Carson was like on the small square, on the edge of the small square. Quaid came out and just threw himself in front of it, and the ball hit Quaid and went over the bar. So when things don't happen for you, that's the way that the game runs. But the game was well over at that stage. I'm not trying to say that Antrim could have had a revival here or anything, but like, it was a fluke to get to him, and when it did get to him, 9 times out of 10 that'd be in the back of the net. Yeah, good save by Joe Quaid there, mind you. By contrast, just looking at the Limerick half-forward line, between Frankie Carroll, Gary Kirby and Mike Galligan, they scored 215, which is a fabulous return. And nobody played better, perhaps, in that half-forward line than Frankie Carroll. Yeah, we'll see from the next set of film that Frankie Carroll are picking off a lot of points here, but that was the difference between the two teams, really. Limerick were running at Antrim from the start and continued to run at them, and you can hear that from their manager saying there, Tommy Ryan, that they decided that they had to throw all their guns straight at the start of the match to see if they could break Antrim, and that's what they did, and it worked for them. That was a fantastic point on the run. Again, look at the amount of room he has in the middle of the park, running across the field, has time to jink inside. Look at the space, wide open pitch and over the bar. And in the last one, Declan Nash does very well here. Hurling wins it in the middle of the park, a half-back running at the other team, the extra man, passes it inside and knocks it over the bar. Very simple, but basic, simple execution of simple things, and that's what hurling is about. It's not flashy, it's not fantastic skills, it's not nothing spectacular. If you can do very simple, basic skills very quickly, you're going to win hurling matches, and you don't make mistakes.
OK, man of the match selection coming up in just a moment. Before we do that, let's have a look at the phone calls, because by far the vast number of phone calls have raised this issue. Pat Brophy from Wexford: should Antrim be put into the B Championship, considering this is the second year in a row they've suffered an 18-point defeat? It's not doing Antrim any good. Joe Kelly from Dublin rang in to say it's unfair that Galway and the Ulster champions only play one game before earning a semi-final place. Brenda Walsh from Thomastown: there should be an open draw. And Willie Staunton from Galbady and Limerick says there has to be an open draw. Waterford, Clare and Wexford, amongst others, will feel quite aggrieved having watched Antrim's performance today. Automatic semi-final places for Ulster and Connacht are plainly unfair.
Well, I'm not going to say anything about whether those people are right or wrong, but I'll tell you this story. I was with a Limerick guy earlier on the year, and his gripe was from a Limerick guy, an ex-county hurler, that Antrim had a free ride, or Down had a free ride into the semi-final, and so did Galway. And he was saying, look at Limerick, we have to try and beat Cork and Tip every single year, and look at Wexford, they have to try to beat Galway, or try to beat Kilkenny or Offaly and get out of a Leinster. You have to play 3 hard games just to win your province, and then you're up against a team who are fresh. That's what their attitude was. And yet people now are ringing in saying, well, Galway and Antrim aren't prepared, ready for a semi, therefore it's unfair on them. So we're getting both sides of it.
Sure.
Are saying
it's unfair on both, probably.
Well, this is what people are trying to say. I don't know what the solution is, but
an open draw, perhaps? An
open draw, perhaps. But having said that, Antrim plainly weren't ready for that match today, just purely in terms of their hurling. I'm not talking about their preparation. They just weren't good enough to play in Croke Park in the semi-final, and it's as simple as that.
OK, man of the match selection from this one.
I give it to Frankie Carroll, because I think overall his stick work and his striking were excellent, and he was running at the defence whenever he got the ball. And then in the second half, he was actually looking for other players, playing the ball around. And he's a strong, tall player. And in actual fact, it was interesting, before the match, he was down in front of the Hogan stand in the area where he plays on his wing, and he hit 4 balls in a row straight over the bar in the warm-up. Just turned around, stroked the ball over the bar, and I remarked at it. I was sitting there going, "Jeekers, you know, this guy must be on his game here." And away he went. Like,
well, there was certainly no doubt about it, Kieran. He was on his game today. Congratulations to Frankie Carroll, a very well-deserving man of the match from that first semi-final. Finally, on the phone calls for the moment, David Walsh, who is the secretary of the Waterford.